The clouds looked softer that morning, like they were waiting for her. A silver plane cut through the quiet sky, gliding steady above the ocean of white. Inside, in seat 17A, sat an elderly woman, Evelyn. Her hand trembled as she rested it against the cold window, tracing the edge of the horizon with her fingertips. The light spilled across her skin, thin, delicate, and wrinkled with the stories time never erased. Her eyes shimmered in that same golden light, but there was no joy there, only the weight of memory. She hadn't stepped on a plane in 27 years, not since the one that changed everything. Camera slowly pans across the cabin, people scrolling on phones, kids giggling, flight attendants smiling. Around her, the world moved as usual, laughter, murmurs, the quiet rustle of snack wrappers. But Evelyn sat still, frozen in a place between now and then. Her ticket read, Tampa gives New York, a simple flight, a few hours in the air. But for her, this journey was more than distance. It was everything she'd avoided for decades, all in one seatbelt click. A small tremor passed through the plane. Just turbulence, normal, harmless. But Evelyn's knuckles turned white as she gripped the armrest. Her reflection in the window blurred, replaced by a younger version of herself, standing on a rainy tarmac, eyes full of tears, watching someone she loved walk away. Cut to flashback, faint, echoing sounds of rain and jet engines. A man waves goodbye. Evelyn's voice cracks off screen, voiceover gentle, trembling. She hadn't stepped on a plane in 27 years, not since the one that took him away. The plane steadied again. The flight attendant smiled as she passed. Evelyn nodded faintly, her throat tight. The narrator pauses, letting silence breathe. Narrator softly. They forgot she hated flying. But maybe that's because they forgot why. Music swells, emotional strings. The camera pulls back from the plane window into a sea of clouds. Fade to white. Soft. Instrumental continues. Gentle guitar and distant seagulls. Narrator. Florida had always been kind to her. The mornings there came wrapped in warmth, sunlight dripping through the blinds, the smell of coffee, the rustle of palm leaves, whispering just outside her window. It was a quiet kind of life, one where every sound, a kettle whistling, a bird calling, the waves in the distance reminded her that time hadn't stopped, even if she sometimes wished it had. Camera drifts through a cozy home, faded floral wallpaper, old photographs, a small garden on the porch. Evelyn spent her days caring for things that still listened, her plants, her cat, the postcards she wrote but never sent, each one addressed to her daughter, Claire, each one left unsent in a drawer by the kitchen window, just in case she ever comes back. She'd whisper to herself. Her home was filled with small echoes of love, a seashell from her honeymoon, an old pilot's badge framed on the wall, and that one photo of Michael, her husband, standing by his plane, squinting into the sun, smiling the way only dreamers do. Cut to flashback to 40 years earlier. Evelyn, young and bright-eyed, waves as Michael prepares for another flight. Michael smiling, "Don't wait up for me, Evie, the sky owes me a favor tonight." Evelyn teasing, "Then tell it to keep you safe." He laughed, kissed her forehead, and walked away into the mist. That was the last time she saw him alive. That night, the storm came. It was supposed to be routine, a short flight home from Atlanta. But thunder cracked open the heavens, and the radio went silent. Cut to Evelyn by the window, lightning flashing through the curtains. A phone rings, then, the knock on the door. Two men stood in uniforms, soaked in rain. One held his cap against his chest, the other spoke softly, voice trembling. Evelyn never remembered the words, just the sound of them, and the silence that followed. Flash fades, back to present day. Evelyn, older now, watering her plants in silence. Narrator. After that night, the world became smaller. She couldn't look at the sky without feeling the weight of what it took from her. She couldn't listen to the sound of airplanes without her chest tightening. Years passed, but grief doesn't fade, it just changes shape, and hers took the shape of stillness. She raised Claire on her own, strong, smart, full of fire. Claire had Michael's same fearless eyes, the kind that saw adventure everywhere. Flashback. Claire, age 19. Packing her suitcase in the bedroom. Closing parenthesis. Claire excited. "Mom, New York, can you believe it? It's a new job, a new start." Evelyn worried. "That's a long way from home, baby." Claire smiling. "It's just one flight, Mom. You'll visit, right?" Evelyn quietly. "That's what your father said." Claire pauses, unsure what to say. The room falls silent. She left anyway, because that's what children do. They leave, they grow, and they forget to call as often as they mean to. Narrator, Evelyn never blamed her. Not once, but over the years. Birthdays turned into text messages, holidays into short phone calls. Then, eventually, even those stopped. Montage, Evelyn eating dinner alone, scrolling through old photos, smiling faintly at her daughter's Facebook pictures. She would whisper to the photo, "You look happy, sweetheart." But inside, she wondered, did Claire ever think of her when she saw the sky? Florida stayed warm, but her house stayed cold. The plants grew, the paint peeled, the clock ticked, all reminders that time was still moving, even if she wasn't. Until one evening, the sky outside turned the same color it had the night Michael didn't come home. The wind howled, the rain began to fall, and Evelyn whispered, "It's been 27 years, Michael. I still can't look up." A phone rings. The light of the voicemail button blinks red. She hesitates, then presses play. Narrator softly. That night, the call came, and with it, a choice that would change everything. Music fades to silence. Soft rain sounds, low piano chords in the background. The scene opens in Evelyn's dim living room, lamplight flickering on faded wallpaper. Narrator. The voicemail began with silence, then a voice familiar, uncertain, older. Claire recorded, hesitant, "Mom, it's me. It's Clara. I know it's been a while." Pause, listen. "There's something I need to tell you. I'll send you the ticket, okay? I really hope you'll come." Click. Message ends. For a long moment, Evelyn didn't move. Her finger hovered over the play button as if pressing it again might make the voice sound closer, younger. Like the daughter, she remembered. The air felt heavy, thick with years of things unsaid. Cut to Evelyn sitting on the edge of her bed. A letter lies open beside her. The plane ticket tucked neatly inside. Narrator. The ticket was for New York, the city her daughter had left for, the city Evelyn had never been brave enough to visit. The date was only 3 days away. Evelyn stared at it, reading every word as if it might reveal a reason not to go. She whispered to herself, Tampa to Atlanta, Atlanta to Chicago, Chicago to New York." Her voice trailed off. 3 layovers, 3 chances to turn back. Camera zooms in on her trembling hands. She folds the ticket and presses it against her chest. Evelyn softly. "She wants me to come." Music swells faintly, hopeful but unsure. She thought about calling, but what would she say? "Hi, it's Mom, the one you stopped calling years ago." No, some things were better left to the air. Cut to morning light breaking through her curtains. The next day, Evelyn found herself packing a neat dress, her old scarf, a bottle of lavender perfume she hadn't worn since her husband's funeral, and the locket Michael gave her, tiny, tarnished, still ticking faintly when held close. As she zipped her suitcase, she looked up at the framed photo on the wall, her and Michael on their wedding day, sunlight pouring through the church windows. Evelyn whispering, "Wish me courage, love." Cut to airport terminal, bustling, echoing with announcements and distant chatter. Narrator. The smell of coffee and fuel filled the air. That sharp scent that always made her heart race. Evelyn moved carefully, clutching her boarding pass as if it might disappear. The clerk smiled politely. "Window or aisle, ma'am?" Evelyn hesitated. "Evelyn, window please." The attendant nods, unaware of what that seat means to her. Every step toward the gate felt heavier, memories pressing against her ribs, like ghosts following too close. The rumble of jet engines outside made her chest tighten, but she didn't stop. She took a deep breath. Then, another. Camera follows her slow walk down the boarding bridge, light flickering between panels, the sound of her footsteps echoing softly. Narrator. It wasn't courage that kept her walking. It was something smaller, quieter, a question she'd carried for years. Would Claire still recognize the woman who raised her? She settles into her seat. The hum of the engines grows. Evelyn looks out the window, watching the airport fade beneath her. The clouds begin to rise, swallowing the ground. For the first time in decades, she's above the storm, not beneath it. Her eyes close. The music shifts, soft, ethereal. The screen fades to white. Narrator softly. She hated flying, but this time, something in her heart whispered, "It's not fear, Evelyn, it's healing." Fade out to the sound of distant wind through clouds. Soft piano with gentle engine hums. Camera pans over clouds below as the plane ascends. Narrator. The plane lifted off slowly, almost hesitantly, as if it too could feel the weight of her heart. Seat 17A. Evelyn gripped the armrest so tightly her knuckles whitened. For a moment, she closed her eyes. The hum of the engines reminded her of that night, the night she lost Michael. Flashback. A younger Evelyn. Phone pressed to her ear. Static in the background. Closing parenthesis. Michael. Voice trembling slightly. Storm's rough tonight, Evie, but I've flown through worse. Back to present. The turbulence makes her stomach lurch. Coffee rattles on the tray. Her hands trembled. Her breath came in shallow waves. Every vibration of the plane felt like a pulse of the past, reminding her of the fear she had buried deep inside. Close-up. Evelyn clutches Michael's photo. Tears slide down her cheek. But then something unexpected happened. The passenger beside her, a young mother with a small baby, leaned over, noticing Evelyn's pale face. Mother softly. You okay, ma'am? Evelyn trying to smile. I haven't flown in a very long time. The woman nodded gently. Mother. First time in years. It's always a little scary, even for me. The baby stirred in her arms. Evelyn instinctively adjusted the blanket around him. And in that moment, something shifted. A quiet connection, unspoken yet strong, bridged the years of isolation she had carried. Narrator. It wasn't bravery yet. Not entirely, but it was something close. Acknowledgement. Humanity. Comfort. Evelyn gazed out the window. Clouds rolled beneath the wings, thick and white like waves on a vast, impossible ocean. She let her fingers brush against the glass, tracing patterns only she could see. Evelyn thinking. Soft voiceover. Everyone's flying somewhere, running from something, or toward someone. Cut to flashbacks. Michael waving goodbye on the tarmac. Claire leaving for New York, her small hand slipping from Evelyn's. The plane jolted again, her breath caught. The mother squeezed her hand lightly. Almost there, she said. And for a moment, Evelyn let herself believe it. Montage. Clouds outside turn soft orange as the sun dips lower. Flight attendants move quietly, the hum of engines steadying. By the time the plane touched down in Atlanta, Evelyn exhaled so deeply her shoulders relaxed for the first time in hours. Narrator. One flight down, 2 more to go. Camera pans over the tarmac. Planes taxiing, lights flickering on wet runways. Evelyn sits in silence for a moment, holding Michael's photo against her chest. Not courage, not yet, but the faintest spark of hope. Narrator. The journey had begun, and sometimes, just starting was enough. Soft piano fades into the background as she steps off the plane, clutching her small bag, walking toward the layover. Scene opens in Charlotte Airport. Golden hour sunlight streaming through large windows, soft ambient terminal sounds. Distant announcements, rolling suitcases, muffled conversations. Narrator. The airport was a maze of moving feet and bright lights. Evelyn sat near a wide window, her small bag at her feet, staring at planes lifting off into the late afternoon sky. The hum of engines, the flashing lights of landing gear, the blur of travelers, it all felt overwhelming. For the first time in hours, she allowed herself to feel lost. Her hands clutched the boarding pass, the words on it blurred, swimming before her eyes. 3 flights, 3 chances to turn back. Camera closes in on Evelyn's face, eyes filled with fatigue and quiet worry. She sighs deeply. A young gate agent noticed her lingering near the window. Gate agent. Ma'am, are you traveling alone? Evelyn nodded silently, unsure what to say. Gate agent. You've got a long layover. Let me see if I can make it a little easier for you. He disappears briefly, typing at the counter. Evelyn watches planes soar in the sky. Her heart pounds. A few minutes later, he returns, holding a fresh boarding pass. Gate agent smiling. We've upgraded you to first class for your next leg, just for comfort. Evelyn's lips part in surprise. She hadn't expected kindness. Not today. Not from anyone. Close up, she folds the ticket carefully, holding it in both hands, a single tear slipping down her cheek. Narrator. For the first time in years, she felt seen. Not as an old woman trembling in a window seat, not as someone lost in grief, but as someone who deserved a little grace. She found a quiet corner and pulled out her phone, dialing Claire's number. The phone rang twice before a weak voice answered. Claire barely audible. Mom. Evelyn softly, trembling. I'll be there soon, sweetheart. Claire. Mom, I didn't think you'd come. Tears fell silently down Evelyn's cheeks. She gripped the phone tighter. Camera pans out, sunset spilling over the tarmac. Planes lift off, golden light reflecting on metal. Narrator. It wasn't just a flight anymore. It wasn't just a journey across states or time zones. It was healing. The moment lingered, suspended between sky and earth. Evelyn looked out the window again, watching another plane disappear into the clouds. And for the first time in decades, she didn't look away. Evelyn, whispering to herself, it's not just a trip. It's a chance to see the world differently. Soft piano swells. Camera slowly pulls back from Evelyn, seated alone in the glowing terminal. As the first stars appear in the sky outside, narrator, some journeys are measured in miles, some are measured in courage. And for Evelyn, this layover was the first step toward both. Scene opens with Evelyn boarding the plane. First class, soft golden sunlight streams through the windows. The hum of the engines is gentle, almost comforting. Narrator, this time, the cabin felt different. Seat to a spacious, quiet, safe. Evelyn sank into the seat, her hands finally unclenching, letting the fear loosen its grip. The plane taxied to the runway and lifted off smoothly, the city below shrinking as the clouds welcomed her. She pressed her forehead lightly against the cool glass. For the first time, she allowed herself to truly look outside. The sky stretched endlessly, hues of orange, pink, and soft purple blending into one another, painting the world in possibility. Flashback, Michael's voice echoes in her mind, warm, steady. Michael memory, the higher you go, Evie, the smaller the world looks, and so do your fears. Narrator, and she remembered, not just the fear, not just the loss, but the love that had always carried her, even when she couldn't feel it. Evelyn closed her eyes. She thought of Claire, of her daughter's laughter in their small Florida home, of all the letters she hadn't sent, all the days she'd waited. And slowly, she let go of the tight knot in her chest. Camera pans to her hands resting lightly on her lap. The photo of Michael now folded gently beside her boarding pass. The flight attendants moved quietly down the aisle. Soft smile from a stranger. The hum of engines beneath her. Evelyn opened her eyes again. The sky glowed. Clouds like cotton candy drifted below. She took a slow, deep breath. Evelyn softly, voice over I can do this. I can go to her. I can let go. Montage, planes passing in the distance, golden light streaming through the window. Evelyn watching the horizon. The colors deepen, fading to twilight. For the first time in 27 years, flying didn't feel like danger. It felt like liberation. Narrator, sometimes the sky teaches what the ground cannot. Sometimes, facing what we fear most is the only way to feel lighter, freer, whole. Evelyn smiled faintly. Tears pooled in her eyes, but they were not tears of panic. They were of release, of remembering, of hope. Camera lingers on her face, serene, at peace, staring into the sky as the plane glides through clouds that glow pink and gold in the sunset. She pressed her hand lightly to her chest, a quiet prayer, a promise. Narrator: for Evelyn. The second flight was more than just miles. It was healing. It was redemption. It was the moment she remembered how to love the sky again. The plane levels off, stars beginning to twinkle above. Music swells, gentle strings, soft and emotional. Evelyn closes her eyes, smiling. Narrator softly, and sometimes, to come home, we first have to rise above what we fear. Fade out slowly to clouds and stars. Airplane wing cutting across the sky. End scene. Scene opens in the bustling New York airport terminal. Soft ambient chatter. Luggage rolling. Distant flight announcements. Soft piano and strings underscore the tension. Narrator: the wheels touched the tarmac with a gentle jolt. Evelyn exhaled slowly, her hand still clutching Michael's photograph. One last flight remained, and soon she would see Claire. Every step through the terminal felt both heavy and light, heavy with anticipation, light with hope. The crowd blurred around her, faces turned, rolling suitcases rattled, children cried, and somewhere amidst the chaos, she spotted her. Claire, pale, frail, holding flowers in trembling hands, her eyes searched the crowd. Time seemed to stop. Evelyn's breath caught, her knees shook, but her heart surged forward. They closed the distance in a heartbeat. Slowly, they embraced, long, silent, trembling. No words, only the weight of years, loss, and love, pressing together. Claire choked through tears. Mom, I booked your ticket wrong, didn't I? Evelyn laughing softly, tears streaming down her face. It was perfect. I needed the time to see the view again. Camera pans out. They pull back slightly, foreheads touching, holding each other tightly. The city lights of New York shimmered through the terminal windows. Narrator: Sometimes, journeys are not measured by miles or hours. Sometimes, they're measured by the courage it takes to show up. They walked toward the exit, hand in hand. The cold evening air greeted them. Evelyn inhaled deeply, a mixture of winter, chill, and city life. And for the first time in decades, it felt alive, safe, and full of possibility. Montage, they collect luggage together, step outside into the city streets, the traffic lights and yellow cabs blurring into a warm glow. Narrator, after years apart, mother and daughter had found each other again. Not just in the city, not just at the airport, but in a place that neither time nor distance could take away. They paused on the curb, sharing a quiet smile. Claire handed Evelyn the flowers. Evelyn inhaled the scent, soft roses, tender and fleeting, like the years they had missed. Evelyn, softly voiceover, all the waiting, all the fear, it led me here. Narrator. And in that moment, all that mattered was the embrace, the long overdue reunion, and the promise that some connections can never be lost. Scene fades to the car ride, soft piano. City lights reflected on the windshield. They sit together, silent but connected, hands brushing gently. Narrator, for Evelyn, this wasn't just an arrival at a destination. It was the arrival of hope, of healing, of love, rediscovered. Fade out slowly. The car drives through the city. The music swells gently, hinting at peace and resolution. Scene opens with soft sunrise over the New York skyline. Gentle piano and strings underscore a calm, reflective mood. Evelyn sits by the window in Claire's apartment, a steaming cup of coffee in her hands. Narrator. For years, she had hated flying, not because of the turbulence, or the height, or the distance, but because the sky reminded her of what she had lost. Camera pans across the horizon. Planes ascending into the clouds, soft light reflecting off glass buildings. Closing parenthesis. Now, she watched the planes depart, each one carrying people to destinations unknown. Dreams in motion, lives unfolding. And for the first time, she saw herself not as someone left behind, but as someone who had risen above the fear, above the grief, above the silence. Evelyn softly. Voiceover. Maybe it wasn't the flights I feared. Maybe it was forgetting how to live fully again. Cut to flashback. Scenes of the journey. Evelyn gripping Michael's photo. First flight. The layover. Her smile in first class. The reunion with Claire. Every mile she had flown. Every tear she had shed. Every hesitant step through airports had led her here. Not just to her daughter. Not just to New York. But to a place inside herself. She had long forgotten courage, love, and peace. Camera shows Evelyn smiling, sipping her coffee, watching planes glide effortlessly above. Narrator. The sky that once held only fear now held freedom. The clouds that once hid loss now reflected hope. Evelyn traced the rim of her cup, thinking of Michael, thinking of Claire, thinking of every quiet moment that had shaped her life. And for the first time in decades, she felt complete. Evelyn whispering to herself, I came, I saw, I flew, and I am home. Soft music swells. The camera pans out through the window. A plane rising into the sunrise. City beneath, clouds above, endless possibilities. Narrator. For years, she had hated flying. But that day, above the clouds, she remembered what it meant to love and to come home.